Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and seeing as it's Halloween today, I thought it was only fitting that I stopped by to share another layout I've created for Papermaze using the Boo Crew collection by Simple Stories. So this video does class as an advertisement. So as I said, it's Halloween today, so happy Halloween. It's my favourite time of the year. I love Halloween, as you can probably tell, because every layout I've created lately has had Halloween theme to it. For this layout today, I've used an ivory coloured textured cardstock for my background, and I wanted to add just a simple bit of mixed media to it. I wanted some stars on my background. So I've reached for my texture paste, which is white, and I'm just using my distress ink pads to add some colour to it, and then I will push that through a stencil with a spatula. So to get the orange colour, I think I used a mixture in the end of spiced marmalade and rusty hinge to give me that deep orange colour that's in the collection. And I'm just using a star stencil by Echo Park and a spatula just to push it through to leave the impression on my page. So I do the orange first and clean off the stencil and just very briefly dry my background, just so that when I come back in with my second colour, they don't sort of blur and mix up. And then for the black, I'm using the same, it's a distress ink, but rather than using the pad, I've got this dropper here. I think it's like an ink replenisher. You're meant to use it to replenish the ink pads, but I just reached for that as it was easier, it was nearest to me. So I've just added a drop of that, and you can see how much colour that's generated just from a single drop. So I've just mixed that in just to add some black stars to the other corners, and that will just frame my photos nicely. So that's my stars done. As you can see, I've got two photos today of my little boy from our recent at-home photo shoot. So I've mounted them first onto white cardstock, and then I've done a second layer on black, and I'm just adding a layer of craft foam behind them just to pop them off from the page a bit to add some dimension. I also find it, if you've raised them up, it's a bit easier to sort of slot things and position them underneath. I've cut 4 tags from the tags patterned paper from the collection, and I'm just going to place them to either side of my photos. I've used a like a handheld hole punch just to punch the holes in, and then I'm using black and orange embroidery thread just to thread through each of the holes. Again, this adds just another texture to the page and a bit more interest. So I just double it over and then just sort of loop it through the hole and back on itself to tie it off in a knot. I just do that for each one, and then I'm going to trim them down, because on the other side of these tags is like a complete tag of with a pattern on it. So if I just cut the top off, the bottom half of the tag on the reverse can probably be used on another layer, another layout. I think one of them's got some pumpkins on that I can fussy cut out, so rather than waste them, I'll trim them down, and then I just stress the edges as well, and then slot to either side of my photos. So that's how the tags will sit on the layout. And then for my title, I've used one of the patterned papers. This is Happy Haunting. It's got black spiderweb on the A side, and then the B side is this lovely orange sort of checkered pattern. So I've cut out the letters to spell the word Halloween, and then I've gone around the edge of each letter with a fine liner black pen just to give a border to it. I just felt like it needed something to define the edges a bit more and help it to pop off that ivory background. So I just went round with a pen. And then I was finding the ivory quite sort of stark and bare, so I wanted to bring some dark colours. There's a lot of darkness in the photos with my boy's outfit and the black stars and tags. I felt like the layout needed some dark at the bottom, so I've used the same patterned paper, the Happy Haunting, and I've torn 2 strips, one from the A side and one from the B side, to put at the bottom there. And once I'd done that at the bottom there, I was starting to feel like I needed something at the top as well to balance the page out a bit more. So I left it overnight to think about it, came back to it the next day and decided to do exactly the same at the top as I'd done at the bottom. So I just tore a couple more strips, again putting the black A side on top to bring a bit more of the darkness up to the top of the layout there. And then I'm just going to stick those down top and bottom with double-sided tape and add some foam pads underneath where the tears are, just to lift those off the page a bit and add a bit more dimension. So that's sort of the bulk of the layout all figured out now. I know where I want my photos and my title to sit, so I'll move on to getting things stuck down onto the page. So for the tags, I'm using some foam pads on the very tip just to add a bit of dimension, and then a tiny bit of PVA glue as well, just to make sure they stay stuck down. Because I've got that texture paste, I like to sort of double up on my adhesives, because sometimes things don't stick to mixed media very well. Especially if you've used gesso. I haven't in this case, but if you use gesso for your mixed media, I always recommend doubling up or using a really strong adhesive, because sometimes things just don't like to stick to the page. So my photos have been stuck down with double-sided tape, and then I'm using foam pads to raise up my title. So I'm just having that running underneath my photos there. Not entirely happy with it. I have a little bit of a play here and faff about with the letters, moving some of them just to get them lined up how I wanted. And then I really need to find a place for these skeletons. They got bumped from my last layout, and they're in danger of being bumped from this one as well if I can't find them at home. So they get moved several times before they find a resting place. And then I just go through the rest of the collection. So I've got the bits and pieces ephemera pack, the combo cardstock stickers and the chipboard stickers. So I just pull all of those out and just select some bits that I want to use. The skeleton I'm cutting out here is from the combo stickers sheet. I wasn't sure where I wanted to place it at this time, so I've stuck it just to a scrap bit of cardstock and cut it out, and then I can move it around the layout as a bit of ephemera. This is a really good trick I learned from watching Missy Whiddon's videos, and it's really helpful because it means you can move things around until you're happy with their placement. So that's what I've done with him. The skeleton that's currently in the right hand corner, he was from the reverse of one of the tags I've used. I think it said trick or treat and had this little skeleton. He didn't make it to my last layout, so we've used him on this one. And I'm just going through and adding bits and pieces, seeing where I like things to sit. I've added a banner that says happy there just above the left of my title. That's from the bits and pieces pack, and that's just to make my title Happy Halloween. It's the second layout I've done this year called Happy Halloween, but that doesn't bother me at all. Like I said, I love Halloween, and I love scrapbooking Halloween layouts, so I will have multiple layouts, probably all called Happy Halloween, but that doesn't bother me. They're all so different in appearance that I don't mind recycling my titles. What else have we got? So I've added something from the bits and pieces down the bottom there that says Hey Pumpkin. I've got that banner piece under my title. I tried that out at the top first. I was talking to somebody recently about banners. I love the way banners look, and I'm always wanting to use them, but I never feel like they look right on my layouts. And wherever I place them, to me, they always look like an afterthought, like, oh, that'll do, I'll just shove that there. So I always end up taking them back off. So I tried this one out in a couple of places at the top and didn't like it. and I thought I'd try it underneath my title. And even now, still looking at it, I'm not sure I'm 100% happy with it, but I don't hate it, so it stays there. And then at the top left there, I'm adding, that's another sticker that says a wicked good time. And I'm trying desperately to add a thread tangle underneath it, but I am not the best at thread tangles. Up until this layout, I've actually been doing okay with them, and I've liked the appearance of them on my layout, and I thought I was just about mastering them. And then I got to this layout and I was like, ugh, who am I kidding? I just cannot do thread tangles. It didn't help that I think I also had glue or glossy accents or something stuck to my fingers, so the thread was sticking to my fingers more than the page. And I generally get really frustrated with them, but I persevere and get there in the end. I'm trying to add another one now behind. I've got a skull head up the right hand corner of my photos there. He's from the chipboard stickers. So I've added an orange thread cluster underneath him, and then I've used glossy accents to try and stick the skull down, because I find chipboard pieces and PVA glue don't always work well together. They tend to fall off, and I find them in the bottom of my page protectors in my album. So I always use glossy accents for chipboard. And I'm just adding another thread cluster down the bottom here behind that Hey Pumpkin banner. I couldn't decide if to go for orange or black, so I've done a mixture of both there. I've tangled orange and black together, and just sticking that down with foam pads again to add some dimension. And then I have this cute little black cat riding a broomstick, or flying a broomstick, I suppose. You fly, not ride. So I've stuck that down again with foam pads, and just working on that happy bit for my title. And the skeleton sticker that I cut out, he's going to stay on the left over there with my tags. I've just popped my texture paste down on top because it wasn't sticking well enough, so just added that on for a bit of weight to help it stick down. I've added a pumpkin over to the right there at the bottom as well from the sticker sheet, and then just finishing off with a few of the words and phrases down the bottom there. And I think that's pretty much the layout finished at that point. Yes, that's me done. So thank you very much for joining me today. Please do head over to Papermaze and have a look at the collection. There's still loads of it available. Please buy it before I do, because there is a high chance I will be back to purchase more, because I love this collection so much. So thank you very much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'm on Instagram at Precious Pages Papercraft. So happy Halloween, and I'll see you next time.